a book like this has a tendency, Stephen, to be looked at as a book to be read by certain people going through a situation similar to this, right? But I know that you speak about this book not only being a writing for that demographic, for those folks in those scenarios, but for teachers and for coaches and for managers. Why is that a book that is really expressing how do you move on and get past the grief and look within yourself and find value and continue the memories of others? I mean, right, that's the core. But how does that also parlay where there's a message for others, as I mentioned, teachers, coaches, directors,
Yeah,
managers? How does that work? How did you
good
merge
question.
that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jay. Well, grief comes in many forms, right? It's not just death of a loved one. You could lose your job. Grief is just a form of adversity. And the book transcends grief by talking about pain and suffering and all these different forms of adversity that we all confront. And the reality is that we're all suffering in some shape or form, no matter what happened or how it happened. And so this book is a pathway to teaching you that exactly that no matter what has happened to you, there is a pathway forward. There is a way to walk on, and the answers are within you. And you have to just search your soul, and you have to hold hope close and dear to you, and you got to crawl before you walk. But there is a pathway, and we all, resilience is a big part of that. You have to have this internal fortitude and grit and never give up mentality. And it may sound cliche-ish, but the reality is that it's one day at a time. For me, it was 1 hour at a time. It was
Mm-hmm.
literally that simple. And I live my life now one day at a time. It's very hard
Mm-hmm.
for me to plan ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take anyone or anything for granted. I live in the present moment, very keenly aware of what's going on in that moment. Like this conversation, it's you and me, Jay. That's it. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
else I'm thinking about or
Mm-hmm.
doing. And you value the relationships that you have. And
Mm-hmm.
you just make the best of life because you don't know. I never expected I'd lose my son at age 16. Who plans on that?
Right.
But it happened. And when it happens, you realize that your whole life perspective changes.